Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Divine Mother of the Universe, the gods and goddesses of all religion, gurus, Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Sri Yukteswar Giri, Sri Sri Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Sri Vivekananda, Holy Mother Sharada, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, and the gurus of all other religions, and the great avatars, and the messiahs, messenger of all practices. May we all be blessed. May no one suffer. May everybody see good in other people and not see fault with anyone. May all be filled with harmony and be protected by the divine prayer that we all send out today. Om Jai Guru. Welcome to you all and good to see you. So today's topic is power of prayers. It is actually a vast subject. And most often than not, it is kind of mistaken to be religious practices, religious dogmas or rituals. Dogmas or rituals and the religion practices are for thousands of years. The great masters have spoken before again and again. Swami Vivekana, very famous of mentioning it in the World Chicago Conference, 1893, 11 September, that may there be 7 billion religion, one for everyone, which is now about 7.7 or so. And yet, each person may practice one, but the prayers and the religious practices are different. You may be doing practices of praying because of the religion and through the religion and through your spiritual gurus, through your spiritual deities. But the religious practices are generally individual, group. As spirituality is the secret within you. Now you may practice as per the ancient Vaita, that is Swaguna Brahman, to God, to Jesus, to Allah, in a temple, in a church, in a mosque, or you may pray in a Gurdwara or Mahavir Jain Mandir, and there are various temples and thousands of them. But what we are talking about now is spirituality. Spirituality is the difference is finding out who you are and discovering the wealth that is the divine strength which is within us to express that. It's a vast subject. It might take more than just an hour. So today we shall limit it to till wherever we reach. And we may continue depending on how it goes on to the next session. The power of prayer is the spirituality is who we are, and to express the divine being which is you within. The religion, on the other hand, is a way of life. 7 billion, maybe everybody have a different religion. The power of prayer and the belief through the religion can be combined, and not can be, it is generally is combined right from thousands of years. You'd be amazed to hear the oldest of the spiritual textbook in the world. It is dated between 3.5 to 5,000 years approximately. Such a huge gap, because nobody can identify it as of today. That's the Rig Veda. From where you heard the Aitareya Upanishad, Prajnana Brahman. The consciousness alone is the Brahman, is Ishvara, is God. In the Vedantic, that is in the Advaita. In the Dvaita Saguna, you could go ahead and take the help of all the great masters of these thousands of years and the advent of all religion. With the latest one is the Islam, it's about 1800 years. You may pray in any manner. Some may pray like this, some may pray like that, some may pray with a symbol like this. It is immaterial. And there is generally, the moment we talk about prayer, we forget, like when we talk to the children, we plead with them. When we talk to somebody junior to us in command, in hierarchy, in office, or people who are working under us, we order them. When we talk to somebody who's equivalent to us, we request them. We approach them through logic. When we talk to somebody elder, we appeal to them. And when we are talking to somebody who, let's say, is the owner of something, we plead. And when we talk to God, then we call it a prayer. You have heard this word also when you pray to the judge in the Supreme Court, to the High Court, to the lower courts. You pray. You give here when we talk about primarily in the spiritual world, when we're talking to the Supreme Being, we call it a prayer. Sister Nivedita Elizabeth Margaret Noble, an Irish lady. Just imagine the concept that we're talking about. An Irish teacher, totally devoted to her world of teaching in Ireland, happened to hear the Advaita Vedanta from Swami Vivekana. And in her forwarding of the Vivekananda's 8th volume today, the brand new, in the first volume itself, she is doing the forwarding, and in which she is talking about that the spirituality through the prayer, what Vivekananda prayed to the world is to spread this power of the understanding of the spirituality through the Vedantic message, is the meeting of the East and West. Not only that, she said it is the future and the present. It's the joining up of the future and the present. And she goes on to say, just like there are billions of waves Let's say 10,000 waves in the Indian Ocean or Pacific Ocean. But if we say that the water is there in the wave, is there in the ocean, is there in the bubbles and the froth, we would be making a wrong understanding, a wrong statement. Because if the water is there in the wave, if I take away the wave does not stay. So it is not the water in the wave, it is the wave is transformed water. Water itself has become the waves and the ocean. And there are many waves, but there is one water. There are many ponds and lakes and rivers in the oceans, but the water alone is one. So she goes on to say that if the many and the one indeed be one reality, the same reality, ocean, waves, it is water, same, it is not at all the modes of worship alone, but to labor is to pray. Vivekananda's words. The labor is what? In our life, what do we labor for? Work hard for. We're working hard for money, to living conditions, to keep ourselves in good health. We have to walk or do the gym exercise or yogic principles exercises. We are doing laboring to learn something, to spread something, is to pray. And to conquer the world is to sacrifice. Just imagine. Rig Veda consists of every discipline that you can think about in the modern science today existed. But you know, the whole Rig Veda is nothing else but prayers to the supreme divinity, to Brahman, which is called Ishvara, or God, or that one, Prajnana Brahman, the consciousness, which is you and I. So understanding it, approaching it, taking the message from all the great spiritual leaders, gurus, messiahs, and combining it with the Advaita, is the one alone exists. The entire thing is to be taken with the spirit of prayers. We should talk about this through a great extent, and we are talking about happiness. Why do we pray? We pray for happiness. You look at it today, mother prays for the child's well-being, doing good in life, maybe coming out of a little ailment, sickness. Couples pray for each other and for the world and for themselves. And we pray generally. In the world, India has been the land of sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. You look at Buddha, sacrificed. If you look at the world around, you'll find it very difficult to find somebody like Buddha or Jesus Christ who sacrificed his life. Look at Paramahansa Ramakrishna. Look at Vivekana. Look at Paramahansa Yogananda. Sacrificed his entire current comfort of the life and went on to a wilder terrain, totally unknown, let's say the Western world, and faced towards what? Bring happiness in everybody's mind. To be happy for one day, it could be done. You know, in the World War, despite winning half the world, Napoleon said, I have not been happy for one day alone. This was Napoleon's feeling. There are many. Those of you who have been hearing about some of the, following, I don't know if you know, 1970s, Steve McQueen. That time, the greatest of the film actor. You may have seen him in many of this for a few dollar more, for a silver dollar. in the Western film, and he used to act with Clint Eastwood and things like that. Steve McQueen was the priciest actor at that time, and yet for 4 years, everybody wanted him, but he didn't want to act because he had enough money and he wanted to act pricey, very egotistic. And then subsequently, poor guy, he was detected with severe cancer. And then he prayed and prayed for the next 5 years. And he said, this message of the cancer which has come to me is possibly for me to understand power of prayer, power of God, power of the Supreme. He became very spiritual and died spiritual. Steve Jobs, similar. He was very spiritual. He came down to India and spent 3.5 years. And he was with Neem Kairoli Baba in Garur Prayag in Nainital. He lived there for 3.5 years. He was detected with the cancer of pancreas towards the end. And he says in his lifetime, and at the time when he was about to leave his body, he told his staff to get 6,000 copies of that autobiography of a yogi. You and I are blessed to know more about it, to give it to everyone who came to pray for him in his funeral. So there is this atheist who takes great pride to say, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. And you know what's his name? You've heard of it. Schopenhauer. And he took great pride in saying, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. And when Schopenhauer, towards the end of his life, was suffering a lot and tremendously in pain, Schopenhauer cried out to his students and to even his teachers who were there around him, God, 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 why do you have to create so much of pain for me? And it is said that the students and the teachers were a little surprised that suddenly Schopenhauer is talking about God. And they said, there is no God in your book. He said, there is no God in my book when I was happy. Right now in my suffering, God alone exists. He too changed. So there is one of the atheists, he cries out like Schopenhauer, God, why do you have to give me so much of suffering? Something very nice. God came and God said, to begin a conversation, I have been trying to call you right from your childhood, your youth, and your adulthood, but you have not been listening. To start a conversation, I have started. So sometimes when you and I get into suffering, please know that it is because maybe that a conversation is about to begin. So too happy for 1 week maybe can be done, but too happy for life is a real challenge because we do not really know what happiness is. What makes us happy? Prayer is primarily for gaining happiness and giving happiness to everyone. And the best part is ancient Vedantic message. If you want something, you have to give it first. So if you want love, you have to give love. We tend to say, what first you love me, then I will love you. This is what generally the boys and girls, they want to hear, see, is he really loving me? Same thing is with knowledge. Jnanam dhanena vardhate. When you give knowledge, knowledge increases. Same thing is for money. You have to give money to get more money. Same thing is for happiness. The God comes in and says, just suppose you have Supposing right now comes to you and me and tells, you have 15 minutes to, how do I put it? Says you have 15 minutes to live right now. Tells us, just imagine. What would you like to do to make you the happiest? We have 15 minutes to live right now. What are we going to do to make us the happiest? What? Are we going to go to the parents and seek forgiveness for whatever we have done? Are we going to go down and buy an Apple iPhone 12 or a land or a building or a car or go for a great feast? What? 15 minutes. You're going to buy some gift for someone? 15 minutes. Think. Do we know it right now? You say, oh, it's a nice conversation. It's never going to happen to me. But reflect on it sincerely. What would you do? Buddha and many monks have said, particularly Buddha, Sarvam Duksham, Shunyam, Shunyam, Shunyam. Everything is suffering. When we talk to each other, you may be nodding your head. But in your heart of heart, you may say, how can it be? I'm pretty okay. I'm all right. And then you say, but I'll be happier if only, and then we got a nice list of 500 maybe items or maybe 50, depending on the complexity and simplicity level of in yours and my mind. Are we happy right now? Our happiness apparently with the COVID-19, no sickness, keeping ourselves protected, having adequate money, secure job, getting enough money, is apparently the temporary happiness. Are we really tranquil and happy and peaceful? I know some of you are well on your journey and it is beautiful, blissful. Just think, when our prayers are born in our heart, it's very peaceful and blissful, and it has got no selfish nature. When it comes to lips, when we have to pray and put the words, we have to think a lot, and then it becomes like a cosmetic. And when it comes out and reaches God, it may become very complicated. I'll give you example. There are inclusive prayers and exclusive prayers. If you look carefully, we love to be exclusive. Supposing you have walked in and somebody comes up a very kind, the president of, let's say, the Apple phone or the Samsung phone comes and gives you a Samsung 20 or an Apple 12 and gives it to you. You are going to enter the hall or enter say, this is for you from Apple. You'll be thrilled. Wow, really? And you enter the hall, let's say there is 1,500 people, and everybody says, which color did you get? You say, color? And they all take out iPhone 12. Notice your happiness for that iPhone 12 is vanished. Why? Because we love to be exclusive. We like to wear exclusive clothes, look exclusively, walk exclusively, carry ourselves exclusively, stand exclusively, eat exclusively. I am like that. I like to be exclusive. Whereas the true happiness comes from inclusiveness. Exclusivity in the prayer is God, give me, give me, give me. Good, yeah, good husband, good wife, good whatever. Somebody was saying very loudly, I heard the other day in the TV and on the mobile and YouTube, said, you have not chosen your face, you have not chosen your parent. And he said it in Hindi. Could you say that this will be my father, this is my mother, ye mera baap hai, ye mera maa hai? He doesn't realize it, that that's for Vedanta you do. You and I are now Vedantis. We know that everything that happens to you is because of your karma. You have chosen which mother, which father, which day, what would you look like? Supposing I have been very funny and was making abusive languages towards the guy, there are some people who may have been blind or suffering from eye sickness. I may be called Kriyamana Karma. I may be born blind and called Boomeranga Karma. If I laughed at somebody with a big pot belly, I may be born very fat. So it is so. I would like you to, in the great wisdom of India, we talk about in the inclusivity of the prayer, which we always talk about. It goes on to say, Sarvatre Sukhina Santu, Sarva Santu Niramaya, Sarva Bhagavani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkhamaya. Let all be happy. Let no one be miserable. Let no one suffer. Let all see the good of each other. This is ancient Indian wisdom. You want to change the world with your good thing, message of Vedanta, whatever it is. Somebody made a statement to me the other day, sir, if you want to change the world, you have to do it after getting married. I said, why is that connected with that marriage? Sir, you can't change the TV channel once you get married. Be that as it may. Happiness, for which we do prayers. Our topic is the prayer today. We pray for happiness, pray for children's happiness and people's happiness and world happiness, schools happiness, society, company, my boss. Your prayers work. Please pray for my family. You will hear it many a time when as you take on the spiritual journey. Apparently there is in the world today has come out something with called an happiness index. Mathematicians are working on what is that. And as for that, they have worked out that the Bhutan is the happiest country and India falls somewhere little below the middle section. Does it mean that everybody is now going to go off to Bhutan and live there? No, that is just the numbers and the probability and has been worked out together to bring out certain mathematical data. But in reality, the richest of the heritage, yes, there is a lot of suffering, but amongst which still the rich wisdom of the happiness, for which is the prayer started off, is in India. And the prayer primarily gaining for happiness is not exclusive for myself, it is inclusive for everyone. Pray for someone else. And when you pray for someone else, your prayer is the most effective of all. Everybody prays. Prayers are our birthright. Every religion, if you look carefully, originates from prayers. Great avatars, Paramahamsas, Krishna, Jesus Christ, if you look carefully, Buddha, the turmoil in the world, in the earth, and we pray and pray and pray, things happen. Sometimes the earthquake, the tornado, the hurricanes. You remember the Hurricane Betsy, hurricane in the New Orleans and Houston region. It was then discovered subsequently that there was a lot of wrong things were being done towards the Afro-Asians. And they prayed and prayed and prayed, and suddenly a huge massacre of a hurricane came out. Today, the power of the prayer is that when you can pray, whoever can pray, he has hopes. We have hopes for that person too, who we see pray. We know we have the hope. When you stop praying, you become hopeless. You don't see anything. And you often say, I'm just like a machine now. I'm like a robotics. It is said that everybody prays. 90% of the people who pray, they own up. 10% they don't. They say, we don't believe in God, we don't pray. But the Shastra, the textbook, Vedanta says, they don't pray, but they make a wish, no? You're going to Mumbai, driving down, traveling to New York or London, and you say, my aircraft should go well. I should have a good flight. You're making a wish. They also pray. Might not be in a formal way, but even the tightening of the heart as you're taking off the plane is taking off, and you're tightening. I hope takeoff is good. I hope landing is good. They're all prayers, even for those who don't. So everybody prays, majority agrees, some may not agree, but prayer is for everything and everyone and beyond the control of the pushing. Today, understanding that the prayers can be very confusing too. When the prayers are on the lips, it is just cosmetic. But we have to choose the right words. And it comes in, for an example, when it comes out to God, it can become very tricky. For example, take an example, India-Pakistan, cricket match. 1 billion plus people in India are watching that match and say, God, please make India win. Somewhere closer to that number in Pakistan are also praying. And you remember the famous picture, being God for one day. It's the same thing. Billions of prayers are coming. It can be very stressful for God. Now, notice here what is happening. I am praying for India to win. I don't care whether Pakistan loses and some people are going to be very unhappy. This is called exclusive prayer. It could bring great discomfort and unhappiness to others and to God. Isn't it a complicated situation? Would you like God to listen to who now? Pakistanis or Indians? Let's say, there is this without intending to be classifiedly, any religion or any particular province, but this is to be very beautiful story in the European land. I have heard it and we used to enjoy it. There is one Britisher and one Scottish and one Irish. There are 3 good friends. And they happen to all working in one company, and they send them to Middle East, Saudi Arabia. And Saudi, they were working for a while and they're doing earning and a lot of things, and something went wrong and they all 3 did the same mistake. And the emperor, the king, sent them off to the desert. Punishment. No supply, no food, live in the desert. And if you die, that's what they wanted, I suppose. So they were banished into the desert. And they tried very hard to live properly and somehow, and it became very tough and they were about to die. And naturally, they were praying, God, God, God. And as the story goes, God came. And he says, I'm God. You all have been calling me. The Britishers said, I'm from the royalty. So my chance is first. The God said, okay, what do you pray for? He said, if you're really God, send me to England, to my cities, my lane, the favorite pub, and I want to have a glass of cold, chilled beer. God says, granted, and he's transported to England. Next, Scottish guy, he says, it's my turn. And he took the cue from the English and he said, God, would you please let me take one bath in my Loch Ness, in my lake in Scotland? In a Loch Ness monster, you've heard. So God cannot bring the whole lake over there to the desert. So he transported him also to Scotland, to a loch. Comes the Irishman. God says, yes, it's your turn now. What would you like? The Irishman says, God, it was very difficult life. We were close to death. But I at least had my friends, my British friend and my Scottish friend. I'm all alone now. Would you please bring back the British friend and the Scottish friend back into the desert? Notice, the Irishman did not care whether this exclusive prayer of faith is going to bring unhappiness. So prayers are only for our happiness, and prayers are not to bring unhappiness to others. You need to be aware of this. The power of prayers has the power to convert fear into faith. We unfortunately use our prayer more like a spare wheel, carrying it in the car in case there is emergency, in case there is a tire burst, then I will. And we are changing and repairing our wheels all throughout our life, but still not realizing the power of the prayer and utilizing it as an exclusive measurement, along with how do the successes in the prayers come? We will touch upon it a little while later. Prayers bring hope to the hopeless state. It brings comfort, makes you feel good and cool in a crisis. In fear, it gives faith. I can, in our own self. In aimless life, don't know what am I doing, what am I going to go, what would I do? Just staying at home, nothing to do, gives you aim. So if all these are happening, what would you do if you pray every day and regularly? Imagine what would it do to you and me if we truly utilize our power. The practice of religion, prayers, must be like a gentle breeze. It cannot be pushed down in anybody's throat. A gentle breeze is something which we love. If somebody tries to push it down, and if I talk too loudly, it will become like a gale force. You will close your window and withdraw inside your own mind. It must not be forced into someone. You should not doubt a prayer. You must have faith. That's like you plant a seed into the soil. The soil is well aired, well manured, well sunlight, good soil with manure. How can it not sprout? Same thing is, how can it not work when I have truly prayed? But we do doubt. We have doubts. Supposing you say prayer and it doesn't work. I know many of you say, yes, it happens with me. Somebody went and told Paramahamsa Yogananda, Gurudev, please pray for my son. He's got a high fever, 7 days running. Gurudev said, sure, I will pray. Why aren't you praying? She said, Gurudev, my prayers don't work. Paramahamsa Yogananda said, do you know, when I was your state, my prayers also I thought didn't work, but I didn't give up. I persisted. And I continue. So can you scientifically say today that the prayers do not work? I'll give you some example. Just because my prayer did not work, one prayer, those of you listening to this today, right now, there are many prayers which yours have worked, haven't it? Let's say you have not climbed Mount Everest. Example, okay? Just because you cannot climb Mount Everest, can you say that the Mount Everest cannot be climbed? Man cannot climb it? Think. There are 7+ billion people on Earth. How many have been to moon? Maybe 10, maybe 12 till now who've landed. Can we say that we cannot reach moon? You know that moon can be reached. Yes, it is correct. Just think, from the beginning of the mankind, there are, from the first time the man walked, billions and billions of people are born. They haven't been to moon, but they all believe today that the moon can be reached. Our society, our culture, our sciences work on single successes and not millions of failure. Let me repeat that. Our society, our science, our culture, our practices, our prayers, our religion, they work on single success and not millions of failure. Many prayers may have failed, but do not forget to pray. Ignore the mass failure. If on the earth 7 billion people have worked and said, my prayer doesn't work, are we going to say 7 billion people could not climb Mount Everest or go to moon? That means nobody can go. My prayer cannot work. Today now, aren't each one of you got some prayers which has worked in your life? You may not realize it. Let's say you've become a teacher or you become a spiritual practitioner today. If you look carefully, you had wished for, you had prayed for, you had hoped for. You may say, that was not a prayer. I just thought about it. What was that thought is nothing else but a wish and a silent prayer. And this is what exactly has happened, which you are experiencing today as being a teacher. You said, let's pray and let's have a baby. If you're married, and there you are. You've gone ahead and had a baby. Let's say some examples. How many times do we have to learn from others that the fire is hot? We have no doubt. We have learned from others. Our parents have taught us. We burnt our finger or a naked electrical wire. If I touch it, I'm going to get a shock if it is connected. If we learn from one person our prayers work, my prayer will work too. It depends on a couple of things. And those couple of things are, number one, is purity, is truth of soul. I cannot cause exclusiveness in dealing with other people. I have to be kind, I have to be loving and caring. No hostility. You had 15 minutes to live. God is saying 15 minutes to go. Am I going to go back and take a revenge on someone else? If Edison failed 10,000 times, are we going to live in darkness? Or we ask Edison, and Edison himself goes ahead and makes one more practice and one more experiment, discovers electricity. If 7,000 billion prayers fail, can we say mine would fail too? Example, many wars and wars and wars have come. Do you and I not believe in peace? Deaths are happening, so many, despite so many deaths around us. Do you and I not believe in life? How can we say, because my prayer did not work, I don't believe in God anymore, or I refuse to pray anymore? The power of prayer is in believing in things. Power of prayer is in believing things which you cannot see. And the success of the prayer is seeing what you believed in. This is the second class. First, purity. Second, visualize your prayer. There is an Australian 24-year-old young boy became the world heavyweight champion. And he knocked out a 36-year-old American Afro-Asian on the first round and knocked him out. So the Australian boy was asked, how did it feel? He said, it felt great, but I have felt it a million times. The journalist said, how? He said, oh, I have prayed a million times and knocked him out when I was in my practice round. See the power? You all have heard about the 11th Apollo mission. The 13th Apollo mission was meant for 7 people, including 3 astronauts, to go and land in moon. It took place in 11th of April 1973. The commander was Jim Lowell. The second astronaut was Hayes, and the third was Swigert. Everybody expecting 7 people would land in moon. Everything was going off very good. And 200,000 miles from Earth, they were about to enter the moon's orbit, the lunar orbit. Suddenly, this service module in the rocket ship, I'll not get into technicality, being a fighter pilot, I know a little bit. Service module, they have something called the administrative module, and from there, it goes on to the lunar module. So the command of the administrative module is from the service module, served with oxygen, water, supply, food, and various support systems to the command module. And command module, from which the lunar module detaches itself, goes and lands in the moon, and then comes back and joins in the command module once again to come back to Earth. Just so happened about 200,000 miles from Earth, suddenly the entire hydrogen and the oxygen combination burst open, caught fire, and the entire service module blew up in the air in that thin space. Imagine the situation now. You have the command module and lunar module. The command module, lunar module combined did not have enough oxygen, enough water supply for one man to live for 2 days. And people from the ground were trying to guide them, but they could see no way that they could have these astronauts back into Earth. And they lost communication with the astronaut. Even the communication broke down. And when they saw no ways, the American Senate passed a resolution like we pass a bill. American Senate passed a resolution for every American to kneel down wherever they stood and pray for the astronauts. Everybody, all officers, everywhere, wherever they were, the shops, the communication, malls, the places, everybody kneeled down and prayed for the astronaut. What happened? Nobody knows. It's only that the astronauts, 7 people lived, which was not enough for one person for 2 days, for 4 days. And they came back and landed on Earth. You will say, if it has worked once for Apollo 13, would it work for again? And this is where called have faith in the Supreme. Have faith in your prayer. I have prayed. My mother and the father, if I am a theistic religion practitioner, if I am a Swaguna Brahman practitioner, Shankaracharya being biggest of the Advaitavadi. He has written the best of the hymns on Mother Saraswati, on Durga, on Shiva, and many others. You have heard this statement, you must have read it. Vivekananda is the greatest of the Advaita Jnani. But he himself is saying, you all think that I am a great Jnani Advaitavadi? In my heart, I'm actually a devotee, a bhakta of Mother Kali towards the end part of his life. And you all think that my Guru, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, is a pure devotee of Mother Kali. Actually, he is an Advaita Vedantist in his heart. So, the faith will work again. If it has worked once, it shall work again. Let's get into not group, an individual. Peter Seller, all of you know about him. You know, he was then one of the greatest of the actor. He was flying over Bermuda Triangle at 48,000 feet. Bermuda Triangle, many of you must have heard. Strange things happened over there. Ships and aircraft get lost. Certainly, Peter Seller says, from 48,000, my aircraft nosedived and came to 24,000 feet. And strangely, this is very appropriate for you and me, follower of the traditions of the Vedas. He said, suddenly in my mind came a particular Hindu mantra. And I kept chanting it and chanting it. And I chanted it 20 times. And strangely, my aircraft leveled out and I came back safe. Prayer has the power to change even the mindset of the people. Those people who are obnoxious, hateful, or they're loving and caring but not totally devoted, or students who are not giving their 100%, or they are giving 100%, still not reaching their perfection. Prayer can change the people, change the relationship which you would love to have with your beloved one. There is one example of a great sailor, 1975, in the shores of Manhattan. His name was John Clay on 30th of June. He was a great sailor. He would love to. Manhattan, the ocean is very cold, very cold. And he was about 4 or 5 miles offshore and sailing there. It was nearing the evening. He was thinking, now I should start getting back. And there was a hurricane, which is supposed to have been far off. So he was very familiar with ocean. And the tail of the hurricane capsized his boat. And he landed in a cold water, chilled water. And he tried to swim. And soon enough, hypoglycemia started setting in. His whole body started freezing. And he could see that I cannot swim. Though he was a great swimmer and a great lover of ocean. And it is said that the ocean loved John Clay very much. And suddenly, he found the Empire State Building on the shore, which was by then must be 3 miles or so. He started off swimming about 4 miles. Yet, he may be a great sailor. He cannot be the one to cross English Channel. He suddenly saw the Empire State Building. And the light from the Empire State Building gave him some special renewed courage. Started swimming again. Every time he could see, I cannot move, he would look at that street building and the courage came to him and he started swimming again. And strangely, suddenly, a floating buoy, to mark the area, the buoy, plastic buoy, came right in front of him on his chest. He was surprised. He says, if it was one hand away, I could not have caught it. I was so badly frozen. I caught it and kept paddling with my feet. And eventually he reached the shore. John Clay's friend Gig, he said he was with his wife. He was driving around. The story is not finished. Suddenly he said, never in my life I felt like it. On 30th of June, 1973, he felt like climbing the Empire State Building. And he and his wife went and put a penny, and through the telescope, he was looking at the ocean. And he was saying to his wife, if this choppy, cold wind, this ocean can be swamped, but be done only by John Clay. He didn't know that John Clay had gone for a sail and he capsized the boat. And notice every time the light went from there, it was his wish and went to the prayer and gave renewed energy to John Clay. Not only that, on 30th of June, on a beach in Florida, his name is Gig. He's a good friend of John Clay. On 30th of June, he's saying that I suddenly started thinking of John Clay, very good friend. And I don't know, as I was thinking of him, a number kept flashing into my mind, 978, 978. Kept on coming, that 978 again and again. And he came to know about John Clay. Is the state and went with an accident, and this is what the state is, the hospital. He naturally flew down to meet his good friend. He goes to John Clay and he says, after he was talking about, on 30th of June, that was the day before, I kept thinking of you. And I don't know why, I kept seeing this number 978. The John Clay looked at his wife and smiled, and she understood. She went and brought that plastic buoy, which is a plastic buoy. It's about 4 to 6 feet. And the number in that written was 978. Will you believe in prayers? Dr. Herbert Johnson. He is Harvard School for 35 years. He's a medical surgeon. He says, repeating a prayer again and again and again, my experience proves that it helps to heal the patient. Again and again, by the patient, by me, by the relative, everybody, again and again. And Dr. Howard Johnson goes ahead to say something more. He said, in future time, the physicians are not only going to prescribe injections and therapies or medicine, is also going to prescribe forms of prayers. When your prayers fail, what should you do? Double your prayer. Repeat it again and again. The father of the microbiology, you've heard about Louis Pasteur. All of us have studied in our school days. He used to literally work 20 to 24 hours a day in his lab. That was his home, that was his life. He says, in all my life, I kept working and I kept praying. A devotee comes to a guru and says, when am I going to see God? So they were going for a bath. In the bath, guru suddenly presses his head under the water. And the devotee wants to come up and wanting to come up, fighting. Guru won't let him go. Eventually, guru lets him come. And he comes up and he gasps for breath. Guru says, how did you feel? He said, I was dying. He said, when you feel for God like that, you will see him. When you and I feel like that with our prayers, it will work. Thank God to the Divine Mother for everything that did not happen to you. Thank God for what has not happened to you. Like it hasn't happened COVID-19. Right now, everybody's suffering, more or less, many. Be grateful to God. Be grateful. In Quran, it says, if you are not grateful, I shall certainly punish you. And Savior would be the punishment. And if you are grateful, I shall grant you more. In Bible, it says, if you are grateful, I shall give you more. And those who do not have, they shall lose what they have. The God, please protect me from all evil should be our prayer. This is what Prahlad prayed. This is what Nachiketa and Katha Upanishad prayed. Please purify all the evil tendencies within me, my lethargy, my continuously being restless while doing the meditation, being bombarded by thousands of thoughts, being someone who's always trying to find fault in other people. Selfless prayers makes the difference. And only searching for that, only for our own happiness, is not a good prayer. So there was a gathering where the psychoanalysts played a game. There were about 150, 200 people in a marriage ceremony. He was playing a game. He gave them lots of balloon, red balloon, and he gave them a pen. He said, write your name on top of the balloon. Gas balloon, they wrote it. He said, now let it go. The balloons didn't go straight up here, there. All the balloons went and got stuck to the roof. It was within the reach of the string. He said, now find your balloon. And there was utter chaos. Everybody searching to find it. And no, this is not mine, let go again. This is not mine, let go again. Chaos. Then one kind gentleman said, whichever name you find, go and search for that person and give it to him. And when you do that, somebody will find your balloon and give it to you too. Bapu Gandhi, he says, he always prayed. In his prayer time, even if it is most serious discussion, he would not stop his prayer. He said, I never prayed to God for things. I prayed to God for changing my inner being. Abdul Kalam, our ex-president, former president, in his book, The Wings of Fire, he's talking about the power of prayer. There is a divine fire in every one of us, and we should give wings to that fire and glow. He said there is in every human being specific elements of divinity is inside. This is what Vivekana is saying. Express that divinity from within to everybody else. If you want to send prayers to God, tremendous power is when you get connected. A prayer to God, to Advaita, to Dvaita, whichever way is to Brahman, is within you or outside in a temple, in a mosque, in a church, in a synagogue. It is building a communication with God. Sri Krishna says, I reside in the devotee when he prays for me. Jesus Christ says, when 2 or 3 get together in my name and pray, I shall be there with them. Prayers answered will be collective or individually. Avatars descend to this earth when we pray. Situations change. Every moan of suffering, every prayer is heard. Prayer are not insignificant. Be knowledgeable. Everybody has the right to pray. So how do the prayers work? Number 1, purity of mind, purity of soul. Number 2, having absolute faith. It is like, if I have asked my father, my mother, I know it will come to me. Supposing it does not come, there may be reason that just like I had asked for something from my mother and father, I may not get every time everything because it may not be very good for me. It may be also exclusive, create pain, not only to someone else, also I'm praying for someone. Maybe it will create pain in that someone. Sometimes we pray for somebody who's in very pathetic state. Yes, Jesus Christ, Krishna, God can create anything from anyone. But there are 5 reasons by which the prayers come true. I talked to you already. The one is the first, the purity of heart. Second thing is the having faith. Third is the intensity. They're all within us. And then the place and the time. And the fourth is the repetition, repetition, repetition with absolute faith. But the fifth is called Daiva. It is the grace of Divine Mother, God, Krishna, Brahman, Allah, whatever name you like to call. It is of that. There are prayers with hopes, prayers without hope. Today, we are a little over the time that we have chosen. The rest of it, we have a huge, as I told you right at the beginning, that it is a very vast subject. We should talk more on these prayers and making the successes. Remember the last point, the 6th point. 5th point is Daiva, the grace of the Divine Mother, God, Allah, Christ, Krishna, or the soul within, the Param Atma, the divinity within, my consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss. When you practice as a Kriyaban Yogi, do not forget to do your exercises with the prayers, just what we do to our gurus and to Babaji and the Divine Mother and Krishna. After that, when you sit down for prayers, for your breathing practices, practice your breathing exactly as you have learned from your gurus. Practice them with faith that I am going towards the climax. I shall attain it in this life alone. Oneness with the Supreme. Practice your Hamsa with absolute faith. Visualize it. Practice Omkar meditation. Listen. Hamsa, watch your breath. Omkar meditation, listen to the Omkar everywhere. Right now, there is such loud Omkar is going around. Many of you may be listening to it too. It is not audible to the ear. It is Pranabadhvani. Anahat. Ahat is this kind of a sound. Anahat is without any ahat, without striking. The sound is the Omkar. It is going on. And then you go on to Kriya Yoga. After the Kriya Yoga, when you're done, your mudras, and then Jyotir Mudra, you will see divine light in Jyotir Mudra everywhere around and in you. And in which, when you go on to the meditative state towards the supreme meditative state, Asanga Asmin, I am totally detached. Just like the sunlight, talk to yourself. Sunlight falls in the dirty water, and some filth lying on the road. It is not attached. It doesn't get dirty. Sunlight falls in a pitcher of wine and beer. It doesn't get drunk. Sunlight falls in holy water. It doesn't become holy. Sunlight is detached. I am that Asanga, Asmin. Sat Chit Ananda Asmin. I am the existent ocean of existence, ocean of consciousness. I am. I am the Ananda. I am that bliss, that happiness. Satprabha, Jyoti Jyoti. Imagine that beautiful light around you and the light of the consciousness reflecting on your mind and the brain and your entire body. Thoughts come and thoughts go. Imagine that thought like the vritti, like a bubble in your consciousness coming, lighting it up, which is in the mind lake. Just watch that vritti thought bubble getting lit up by the consciousness. Focus your mind only on that light. And then, absolutely, when you're calm, whatever calm state may not be perfect like a samadhi state. Nirvikalpa samadhi will come. But at that state, plant the seed of your thought, of your prayer, and be still. Throughout the day, there are the 6 ways. Keep thinking of it. I have asked, I have prayed. How can it not? I have planted the seeds. I may have planted 1,000 seeds. At least 100 will come. If not 100, 1 will come. If I can know that man can reach Everest, man can reach moon, I know my prayers will work. I know fire is hot, it will burn. Whether here or in the North Pole or Siberia, it is still fire. My prayers are still prayers. For the day, I finished. Should you have any question, please go ahead and ask.
Sir,
Any question?
which of the 2 modes of prayer is good? Let me
May I see
explain.
you with your camera on, please?
Yes, sir. This is Rajiv. Can you see me?
If you have no question, I'll finish it up with a short 2-minute story. Okay? Hot summer afternoon of an Indian village. An old man walking, 80, 82 years old, very tired, can hardly walk. And he sees a grocer shop, the only shop. And in front of the shop, hot summer afternoon, there's a little shade and there's a little bench. He goes and sits on the bench. Shopkeeper, let's give him a name, Ravi. Ravi sees the man and the old man says, water. Now, Ravi had been in that shop for 12 years. He's been always praying, why am I just like this? My life should change. And that village had terrible severity of water. 2 years, there is no rain. So they had to walk 5-6 miles to get water and bring it back on the head. They know the scarcity of the water. Ravi has a little pitcher of water, but he thought, my God, if I give it to the old man, my water will finish. But Ravi was a very kind, nice person. He said, okay, I will give it. He gives it to the old man, 1 glass. The old man drinks it up and says, more. And before Ravi could act, he picks up the pitcher and upside, dug, finishes up the water. Some falls all over him. Imagine the scene. Ravi's face became small, heart sank, all my water is gone. Old man had a beautiful smile, and that seeing that smile, Ravi felt so nice. Old man says, Ravi, always be kind, you will be blessed. And he walks up and Ravi looks after him with a little sad heart. Then the old man walks, limps along and vanishes. Ravi realized with the power of the loss and the sitting in the hot afternoon, got a terrible headache. Wanted some water. He said, no, how am I going to get water? My water is all finished. Where am I going to go? The shop is far away. Do I have to close the shop? What if a customer comes? He said, let me see, maybe a little bit of water in that pitcher. So he picked it up and he tilted it in. Shock, surprise, cool, gushing water comes all over his face and he drinks it. And he said, wow, so nice and so cool water. And puts it back. And he strangely finds within no time his headache vanished. Little later comes his friend Karim. I'm cutting it short, okay? Karim comes and gives the big list and he said, give me my grocery. And he sits down and eats his lunch. After the lunch, Karim says, Ravi, can I have some water? Ravi said, an old man had come. He drank up the whole water. There was a little bit left. I was feeling not too well. I also finished it off. I don't think there is any water. Karim said, what are you seeing? I can see the pitcher is filled with water. Ravi looked back. He was measuring some dal and rice. He said, what? And Karim goes and opens it. See, it is right up to the brim is water. Ravi is now shocked and surprised. And Karim puts the water, he drinks it. Karim always had an injury in his leg and he used to always limp. And Karim walks out, takes his grocery, pays the money. Ravi looks at Karim and surprised, he's thinking, not too many guys to buy. There's lots of time. He realizes Karim as if he's not limping anymore. And no time, Karim within an hour comes back with his sister. Ravi, my sister has got Fatima, got high fever. Please give her some water. From your magic pitcher. He said, magic pitcher? What magic pitcher? He said, you don't know? My limp is gone. He said, really? He said, yes, please give her. I'm certain she'll be all right. Ravi said, listen, this is not magic. This is normal water. You go to a doctor. He said, no, this is. Ravi gives them the water. Fatima drinks it. Her head was down, feeling down. Soon enough, Fatima sits straight, smiled and said, brothers, it is true. My fever is gone. Word spread and queues of people started coming every day, taking water to heal. Now shut it. People would give something and Ravi, what he had prayed for, I should have abundance of people should love me and care for me. And they would keep giving him a little bit of money, a little bit of things from their garden village. A rich landlord's servant comes. My Lord has got high fever. Please come with me and give him that water. Ravi said, I can't go. I have to take care of all these people. He said, listen, Ravi, if you take care of all of them, are you going to go rich? If you go to my Lord, he will give you enough money to live for 3-4 months. Ravi said, no, I cannot leave them. He was a nice boy. But the devil comes in and wags his tail like the Adam and the Eve. Servant insisted, no, you must come. My Lord cannot come. You leave them, tell them to come back tomorrow. Ravi is tempted now. The temptation takes Ravi away from this group and he says, come back tomorrow. And he gets some good money. That landlord becomes okay. Word spread. More and more rich people start coming and taking him away from his shop to their home. And then comes one day, long line, an old man walks in. Old man says, water. Ravi said, I remember by looking at him, my old man who gave me the blessing. He realized now. He said, yes, sir, I'll just give it to you. Suddenly, the king's coachman and the head of the army comes and says, Queen is sick. You immediately sit on my chariot and come with me. He said, I can't come. Wait till I give them the water. They said, no, you have to come immediately. King will give you special boon and land. And tempted Ravi, tell uncle to that old man, please wait, I'll just be back. Ravi is taken swiftly and Ravi was told, this is my queen. She's got a mosquito bite. Give her the water so that her lump from the hand vanishes. Ravi pours the pitcher, no water, totally dry. He's shocked, he looks inside, totally dry. King said, I'm going to get you into the guillotine box. You are cheating my subject. Get lost from here before I get you killed and put you into the prison. Ravi leaves disheartened, but he learned his lesson because I was selfish with my prayer. Remember, it is not inclusive, it was exclusive. Now he goes, there are soon word spread, no more people waiting, but he had his lesson. Whatever money he had earned, he opened up another shed and he started giving free treatment to all the villagers who fall sick by inviting a doctor from the neighboring city. And Ravi is praying, I hope the old man comes back again. May he be blessed with an Aladdin's wonder lamp, maybe the diamond touchstone, maybe the old man with the pitcher. Hmm? Sorry? Rajiv, you have a question? I didn't hear any. Please ask.
Yeah.
Can you increase the
I
volume?
have,
Yes, sir, Rajiv.
yeah, I have a question and a comment.
I cannot
My
hear you.
first-
Just one minute. Go to the speaker. Just 1 minute, Rajiv. Give 1 moment. Is it the speaker? Please now.
Yeah. So first of all, very good presentation on the power of prayers. A lovely presentation.
Yeah.
I have my first question.
What
My
up?
first question is,
Yeah.
there are two modes of one. If I surrender to God and say that whatever God selects is the best plan for us, and pray that God will be giving us the best, that is one mode of prayer. And the second mode of prayer is explicitly asking for a certain outcome. Which of the two modes is, a good thing? And secondly, I have a comment kind of. You gave the Apollo 13 mission example where the whole of America prayed together and the astronauts survived. But I'm really surprised that in today's COVID pandemic, none of the global leaders or spiritual leaders called for a mass prayer.
This is what is the record on the 13th layer about the Senate passing, American Senate passed the motion that everybody has to pray. Please pray for the astronauts. At the answer to your second question, it is what I read on the 13th it was 1970 and I think it was 13th of April. I got the dates there. So, and as far as your first question is concerned, this, Rajiv, you and I can check it out. Please check it out and enlighten me. I will also like to do research. I'm always open window and wanting to know more. In terms of the first question, which you said, that is an inclusive prayer where you say, may good thing happen to all, which we also pray today. May happiness be all, may nobody find faults with anyone, may always be protected by everyone, and which we're praying every day with our prayers in the beginning and end, and also our Sunday sessions. Is certainly the generalized inclusive prayer, and it always is the best prayer. In terms of when you say, I leave it to God, what you think is good and give it to me, there is something called the independent element of you. When you have that kind of faith and say, I don't want anything, take an example. God knows everything, Sarva Vyapi, Anantam, Advaitam, everywhere present, and knows everything, and we've been through the time and in every place. The God knows about what is there in my mind. Then think, why did Jesus Christ say that God, they do not know what they're doing, please forgive them? Why did Vivekana ask Mother Kali? He was to go and ask for money and give me job. This is why he was sent. He didn't ask for that. He said, give me knowledge. give me bhakti, and give me sadhana. He asked for those three things. And when he came back, three times he was sent. Paramahansa Ramakrishna every time asked, did you ask? And he said, no. So, what is the element of this? I would like you to meditate on it. Maybe you will find that what is the purpose of this statement is the prayer with a definite direction. Otherwise, also you're going to lead a very good life. But in your karma, in your finding, I want to go to Mumbai. Why? Because that's my prayer. I want to be so and so is in my karma because I want to reach that status. It is not a financial or a job or a president or vice president appointment, but a specific direction. I am placing it. And this is why that individual prayer with keeping everybody in mind, like you are saying that may everybody be protected. Obviously, Rajiv, I am included in that everybody. Sarvanne sarvatu. When you say everyone, everyone is me too. And yet you focus like a laser beam. Say, along with that, I would see that you protect along with everyone around, which is everywhere in the universe. My family from COVID-19, my devotees from no suffering. Paramahansa Ramakrishna suffered from cancer. And it is said that he prayed and took Girish Ghosh's all the mistakes that he had done with his life onto himself. And once there were three disciples who were to be given initiation in Ramakrishna mission. Nobody will give them because they had a very bad reputation. And yet they wanted initiation. They wanted to change. Somehow nobody at that time among the mission monks wanted to initiate them. Somehow. They said no. Those three people insisted again and again. Somebody told them, if you truly want to go to Jairam Bhatti and go and ask mother. The Holy Mother Sharda was there, Paramahansa Ramakrishna was no more. They went and asked her. Mother also looked at them and realized your time hasn't come. Not for you, this initiation. They insisted and stayed for that whole 2 days there, would come in the morning and sit down there. Eventually, mother agreed to give. But what happened? They had very bad karma. Mother fell very ill. By the moment you give initiation, you actually, most of the gurus, what they do, they not only initiate into that flood of holiness, but also take away your bad karma too. You've heard this statement, Khali haath pe aao, jholi bhar ke jao. This is what the gurus do. Give you abundance and take away all your suffering. See, you got a beautiful point. This choice is absolutely yours. On my reflection on this, on the first point you had covered up anyway. But I am living a human life. I have certain way of aspiration of being one with God. So along with my prayers for everyone, I also like to pray, God, this is how I would like to attain you, oneness with you, and on this life alone. The other one is I choose, whether it's a course or a job or a marriage or something, I say, give me, give me, give me. This is one angle. Or very piously, like Nachiketa, ask Yamraj, my first boon, please see that my father is not blamed for his being rude and giving me away to you. When I go back to him, he should receive me with happiness and joy. Notice Nachiketa very cunningly made two things in one prayer. First boon, that I am going back to my family. I'm not going to stay here and dead. And second, please heal my father. And then second, he asked for that very special yagna, which is called Nachiketa Yagna, which will heal anyone, everything, and give them all wishes. He wished second. This is as per Katha Upanishad. And the third boon is, tell me the secret of death. So you got a beautiful point, a very good question. It is a reflection, and it is, I would leave it to Rajiv for a beautiful question for you to choose. How would you like to take it on? The infinite consciousness is waiting to receive the message. You choose. The Apollo 13, when you find out, please let me know the detail. I couldn't get the full
No, no,
detail.
no. The Apollo. Thank you for the first question. My second was an observation. I completely agree with the power of mass prayers. I am surprised that not a single leader called for a mass prayer in this COVID pandemic.
Okay, that was your point. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I I believe, if you notice, Roger, the entire mankind, let's say Indians, we have forgotten what is Vedanta. We've forgotten the leaning towards spirituality. There are very good spiritual centers around India. And that is why, though in the happiness status we are below the middle, yet we feel ourselves to be far ahead of, let's say, Bhutan, which is number one. But people have forgotten, have lost faith in that spirituality. And there are some who do have faith, because there is always segment. Great rishis in the mountain Himalaya today, or those who are 1,000 years old also are there. And there are very simple people like you and me have resigned their life to get one thing, and that is the welfare of the mankind. I believe, Rajiv sir, they are doing it, but they're silent about it. But yes, you're right. A beautiful statement like this, a bill, should have been passed from the government of India or United Nations. Everybody pray, power of prayers. Why? My understanding is, just like this power of the prayer talk today, most people doubt it. They don't believe in it. So they say, yes, yes, I believe, but they really don't believe. And some of them, those who believe, their life is different. They're powerful and cheerful. I'll just give a tiny example. The power of prayers. We are getting out of time, but I'll complete it. You know, this is, I've got ceremony. I'll tell you one. When I was about 15 years of age, I had grown up believing in the prayers, my family and things like that. I was in the graduation ceremony, which is after that we do the advance and go on to fighter flying, helicopter flying, transfer flying. In the graduation ceremony, they declare who has done how. 3 years course, 2 year, 10 months to be exact. There's about 2 years. After the 2 years of graduation, Jodhpur, I happen to be the senior most cadet, sergeant cadet, in charge of all the cadets. And I was told, come and check who's going where. Course is finished, everything result is going out. Everybody knows who's done, how well. But now which stream, we didn't know. I had prayed and prayed and prayed that I want to go to fighter flight. I didn't want to go to helicopter and transport. At the list, I being a sergeant cadet, senior most, right on top, Robbin Ghosh, helicopter. My heart sank, my face fell, and I was naturally down. And I didn't have all this huge religious background at that time. I had some tiny bits, not enough water. I came and again started praying. How? Why is it? I ran to my instructor. He said, what to do, Robin? This is the boss's chief instructor's choice. I went to flight commander, who was the next to him. He used to look after our flying operations training. He said, what to do? Then I went to the squadron commander. Same answer. I didn't give up. I was searching now. I wanted to find out who is the chief instructor. I didn't even know the name, a cadet. Found out his name. And they said, I said, where is his office? They said, cadets cannot go there. Not out of bound. I came out. I said, where does he stay? Where is his house? They say, you will be punished if you go to his house. Nobody's allowed there. I said, okay, but where is his house? I found out where is his house. It was within 1 kilometer from the airfield. We were staying inside the airfield. I had my time up to the games period because we had finished, graduated. We had 2 hours time. I got out of the main gate. Because we had graduated, we were given the gate pass. You're free to go anytime. Otherwise, we are not allowed to go out also. I went out with my cycle and drove straight to him. Pressed the bell. Kind lady came out. I still remember her face. Very thin, very slim, very fair. And she said, yes, son, what can I do for you? I said, ma'am, please forgive me. I come to meet the chief instructor. She said, really? Must be shocked. I said, yes, ma'am, I have something very serious to discuss. She looked at me for a while. She said, okay, please wait. She goes inside and calls the chief instructor. He comes after about 5-6 minutes. I was sitting in the sofa. He comes in. I stand up. I wish him. He said, yes, what is your name? I said, sir, I'm Robbin. Okay, so you're the sergeant cadet. I said, yes, sir. Because I was in that time civil dress. I can't go out in my uniform. I said, sir, I have just now been told I'm chosen for helicopter. I don't want to go to helicopter. I've joined Indian Air Force because I want to be a fighter pilot. He said, what's wrong with helicopter? And then he started talking a lot for about 15-20 minutes. He kept telling strength about helicopter. My heart was sinking and thinking and thinking, but I kept chanting. I kept taking mother's name. Please change his mind. Please change his mind. And eventually he came up. Do you? I said, sir, please, I want to go to fighter flying. He said, do you know I am from helicopter? I didn't know that. I wouldn't have dared going to him then. I said, sir, no, I didn't know. But sir, I want to go to fighter flying. So he smiled and he said, I like your tenacity. Okay, you go. I will see what I can do tomorrow. Next day, first thing in the morning, 5:30, we go report. I hear a loud sound. Robbin, come here. I go running to my instructor and said, you monkey, you went to chief instructor. Last night message must have gone from chief. I was made to run. Punishment. You have to go for about 2 kilometers run. I did all that, came back, flight commander call, and little later, I got a call from the CI, chief instructor. I shakily picked up the phone. He said, Sergeant Cadet Robbin Ghosh. I said, yes, sir. He said, but you are already selected for fighter plane. I said, sir. He said, go and see the list. The main list has come out. Apparently, the teachers did a ragging with us by putting up a fraud list, jumbled up, and went out and saw the nice big list, and my name is there, fighter flight. I believe in my prayer all my life. When I didn't know much, and when I know a little more, I believe in it. So yes, you're right. Every one of us should pray. I'm praying every day, and you all should pray individually, also a mass. Yes, government should. Maybe, I don't know, will people laugh at it? Do you think if we send a letter? Reflect. Thank you very much. Good question. Any others?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Akasha Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Vayu Shanti, Jalaspataya Shanti, Gau Shanti, Agnyaya Shanti, Om Uttaradesha Shanti, Dakshinaya Shanti, Purvadesha Shanti, Paschimaya Shanti. Om Manaha Shanti, Chittaha Shanti. O Divine Mother, gods and gurus of all religion, please grant peace, happiness, and protect everyone. Grant them their prayers for wellness as long as it is inclusive prayer. Protect them. May no harm come to anyone. May no one see faults of others. Jai Guru.